1970.
Not the whole thing, Earl.
No, it wasn't.
Well, yeah, let me be honest. You were. You know, when that first girl wanted to take you to the VIP lounge in the back, you resisted at first. You were sitting in the chair going, no, don't want to lap dance. No. You're silly rabbit.
I just thought that honor should have went to me.
Well, he wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
It would have, but he was not there. And he wasn't showing up for another hour and a half at that point. So it was just like, hey, give it to Earl.
I just thought it was funny. It was like, okay, who's going to be the first guy? And everyone just turned around and pointed their finger straight at me.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you are the virgin.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
You got it. You got to give it to Earl.
There's no bell being rung there.
Ring the bell.
That's
Not
reality.
appropriate.
I'm just in a dry spell, that's it.
29 years. You got tumbleweeds rolling around in your crotch.
That dry spell. Well, Earl got, I think, a lap dance every 3 minutes for the whole evening. Everybody was just, because you're talking and stuff. Sometimes the lap dance gets in the way.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch someone else get in the lap dance.
Put it this way, Nunzio completely hooked us up with funny money and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be for Rick, but because Rick was late, we used it on Earl.
Yeah.
So by the time Rick, the Bachelor, showed up,
They ran out of money.
we were running out of funds quickly.
And the lap dance is just an odd thing, There's no touching. So you just kind of sit in the chair with your arms on the armrests as this chick is going around you and gyrating in front of you and looking at you like you should be pounding her, But it's like, I will just stay completely still in this chair as you circle me,
Yeah.
It's like when you used to play a stupid game with, like, your siblings. I'm not touching you. Look, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And, like, you're right next to the person. You put your hand, like, right next to their face. Why? Why are you mad? I'm not even touching you. I'm not touching you. That's how it is.
Yeah.
They get, like, right next to you.
It's the adult version of that game.
Yes. My ass is not touching you. My ass is not touching your nose.
All right. So then I guess,
VIP room was great, though.
yeah, the VIP, you don't talk about the VIP room, Earl.
Oh.
Ixnay on the VIP room. Just say it was great.
Sit down, Danny. How about a lap dance?
So we were treated like kings at Goldfingers, and then finally the night came to an end for most of us.
Yeah, I guess, pretty much everyone left after a while. Except one guy.
I decided that there was no way in hell I could go home, Anthony. With the smells and the things that were hanging off my clothes, it would be safe to stay away from home.
You just end up smelling like Dancer.
Oh, man. Right. Like I said earlier, there were substances on my body that I could not recognize, and I felt it was safe to stay away from the homestead because I wasn't functioning right where I could explain some of this stuff. So I decided to crash at Ben's place, and my clothes, by the way, have officially been burned.
Oh, really?
Yes. Now,
did your pants look like, did it look like you dropped some sour cream on there?
No, not that bad.
Out of the fajita?
No, not that bad. But first of all, I guess Mark, Psycho Mark, who's in the studio, he started getting really pissed at everyone.
No. Don't go there.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
Well, you're friggin' loony with those dancers, man. that was part of the best part of the show.
You know what? Guys can relate to this. There's always one guy in the crew. There's always one guy in the crew that is convinced that the girl actually likes him.
And you'll be going home to bang the dancer.
Right. That person in our gang is
Psycho Mark.
Psycho Mark.
Hello.
Who at one point I think had too many dollars in both hands. Did I see a shoe off with more dollars between your toes? You were shaking money around like Trump. Sitting front row. You were like right there next to the stage. And a girl come over and give him a lap dance. And he's getting into Like his arms are going, and he's almost dancing with the girl.
Correct.
I was having a good time.
Well, sure.
Is it
great.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Is it true you were thinking you had a shot at that girl?
No, of course not.
Oh, now he says it. What time did you get home?
Oh, like 3:30.
Let me make it perfectly clear. We started the festivities around 8:15. It wasn't like we went out at 11 because most guys are like, oh, what's the big deal? 4 hours in a club? No big deal.
Yeah.
No, we're talking 8 hours in the club for Mark.
It's a hard day's work.
To the point where you're punching your pal Ben over there.
Well, Ben deserved the punch, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Well, we could get to it now because it all relates. Now Ben has an apartment in the Village, right? Lower East Side.
Jeez.
Near NYU and all that. And Ben has a really small place, correct? Mark, you've stayed there
Yes, I have.
when you first moved to the city. Now, I asked Ben if I could crash on his couch because there's no way, like I said earlier, there's no way I could go home.
Right.
There was a slight problem with that. Ben told me, yeah, no problem. And that's the truth. I thought everything was cool. I found out when I arrived at Ben's place that there was already another guy staying there, another one of his friends that is moving to New York City. See, Ben has all these friends, Ant,
Yeah.
and they all moved to New York City, but they start their journey in New York by staying with Ben for a month, right? Is that true?
Right. Totally right.
So who is this guy?
It's Ed. Drunk Ed.
Drunk German Ed
Drunk German Ed.
with the bullet hole in his head.
Drunk German Ed with the bullet hole in his head.
I guess this would be a great time to introduce Drunk German Ed to the show. Who wants to tell the story of why he has a bullet
Oh, he was in the
mark in his head?
He was in the German army, and I think they were doing exercises with the Russians, and he stuck his head up from behind a berm and got whacked with a 7.62 round in his head. And the rumor is he was drunk when he was on duty, and he, oh, what's on the other side? Whoop, whack.
And he got shot with live ammo in the head during training thing.
Exercises. It's a true story. He's got a dent in his head, Ed. That's why they call him Drunk
German Ed.
German Ed with the
Bullet hole in his head. Pretty much wraps it up right there, doesn't it?
There you go.
True story. So I go to Ben's assuming, it's going to be no problem. We're going to just, crash. I got the couch. Ben's got his bed. Tiny little apartment, no bigger than this studio we're in right now.
Right.
But there's Drunk Ed on Ben's couch
With a 40.
with a 40 of Beck's. So, Ben, what did you say to Ed?
I told him to go stay at Mark's.
But he's at like 1:45, he tells his guest, Ed, that
Drunk German Ed with the bullet hole in his head.
that he has got to leave his apartment because I'm crashing there.
Oh, what
Now
a
I'm
nice guy.
Now I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm like, Ben, didn't you work this out before you told me I could stay?
Guess not.
So Ed, all drunk and belligerent, gets up and goes to Mark's.
Yeah, but you missed the whole point.
Now there's a bunch of points here, Mark. Now Mark didn't want Drunk Ed at his place because he was convinced that he was taking one of the strippers from Goldfinger's home. That is the truth.
No, it's not. You're absolutely wrong. That's not the reason why I wanted.
Your little honey's listening, but that is the truth. You thought you were getting lucky.
Maybe I did. You guys don't even know about it.
All right, so now Ben just flat out kicks his friend out on the street at 12:30 at night, and all I remember is Drunk Ed going, "You don't kick a black man out on the street at 12:30 at night."
Oh,
Well, you forgot to mention it. Ed is also black.
Yeah,
a black
Yeah.
German.
he's a black German with a bullet hole in his head. So now where does this story go?
Well, then he went to Mark's building.
Well, wait a minute. Before he even gets to the building, you were at the club, right? You're like, oh, Opie's going to stay with me. He's going to stay over at the place tonight. So Ed's going to stay with you. And I'm like, Ed is not staying at my apartment. There is no way that Ed is staying with me. I already told you that Ed cannot stay at my apartment.
Now logically it would have been okay if I would have just stayed at your place. But see, you live with a gay guy, and I had a problem with that. So I said I'll go stay with Ben.
Yes, and
I'm just saying.
And the gay roommate doesn't want Drunk German Ed with the bullet hole in his
Well,
head
no.
staying at your house either.
last time Ed came over, he almost broke all the furniture, and he insulted my roommate.
What did he say?
He said something to the fact where he says, I hate the Jews, and my roommate is Jewish.
Isn't that amazing? Even black Germans hate the Jews. Well, you'd think they would understand like oppression and stuff, but
And my poor roommate, you know, being the way he is, got very offended.
yeah.
And was very upset. And then Ed proceeds to blow a nasty, stinky beer fart in the apartment.
And you know, like how those gay guys like to keep their apartments so nice and neat and stuff and smelling good.
So needless to say,
Hey guys,
left
just
a
jealous.
bad taste in my roommate's mouth. So Ed is no longer allowed in my apartment.
Not the first thing.
So drunk Ed goes to Mark's. Problem is, Mark's not home because, let's go back to the story, he's still trying to pick up the stripper at Goldfinger's.
I was hanging out with Nunzio.
Nunzio is very cool.
Nunzio was the man.
So, drunk Ed stayed in your lobby for how long?
Like 3 hours.
Not kidding.
3 hours in the lobby of your building.
And he's
Waiting for Mark to get home.
Right.
So he could stay with
So
him.
he could sleep.
Right.
So meanwhile, he's sitting in the lobby of my building, bothering the poor doorman, just like making erratic conversation with the poor guy, and trying to explain his plight as a black German stuck out in the city
With a bullet
place-
hole in his head.
Right. So I walk in. This
Oh,
is like
man.
3:30, and all of a sudden I'm tired. I'm ready to go up to bed.
Right.
I look. Hey, Mark, it's Ed. How are you? I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? Opie's staying over at Ben's house, and they threw me out on the street. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding
He
me.
did throw him out on the street.
Oh,
I'm serious.
Ben, man.
Ben flat out said, Ben flat out said, drunk Ed, you have to leave.
So Ed comes over to my place to stay. I don't have a place. And I told Ed, I said, Ed, you can't stay here. You cannot stay here. So I ended up loaning him like another $150, $200 to go get a hotel room.
At 3
Oh, my
o'clock in the
God.
morning? 3:30?
Well, if my roommate woke up and saw a black guy sleeping on the couch, the place with a bullet hole in his head, it would not be a pretty sight.
The gay guy, let me get this straight. The gay guy doesn't like the black German guy
With the bullet
with
hole
the
in his
bullet
head.
hole in his head. And likewise, the black German guy doesn't like the Jews, which the gay guy takes offense to. Is he Jewish?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, now it makes perfect sense.
It's very Jewish.
And Ed's claiming that when Ben kicked him out of his apartment that we were mocking him and laughing at him.
Yeah, well, he told me, he goes, Opie and Ben were laughing at me when they threw me out of the apartment. I had no place to go. Oh, you threw me out of the street. Mark, you got to have me play them stay in place. And he's still drunk out of his mouth, slurring his words. So anyhow, I get him to leave. And the doorman is like, who the hell was that guy? He spent the last 3 hours trying to, converse with me about his bullet hole in his head and people throwing him out in the street. But Ben, that was probably the coldest thing I've ever heard in a long time. That was pretty cold to put your own friend out in the street. I mean, you could have let him stay, in a corner, for Christ's sake.
I know, you're right. Now, looking back on it, you were right.
See, this morning you're like, it's so funny. He was staying in your apartment. He's staying in.
That's how it went down.
Not nice. And you're laughing too, Opie.
Yeah,
you were laughing.
I think Ope's part of the problem, too. Like, you didn't say anything like, did you say anything to Ben like, oh, Ben, you can't do that, man. Look, I'll make other arrangements.
Hey, look, man, I was tired.
Screw the guy with the bullet hole in his head. I'm tired.
I was tired.
The Opie and Anthony Show.